Shalom, I am Rabbi Ezra. The modern medical establishment treats the human body as a machine. When a part breaks down, they prescribe a chemical to fix it, or a surgery to remove it. But the ancient Jewish tradition views the human body not as a machine, but as a sanctuary, a mikdash. It is the physical vessel designed to house the divine soul. And just as a physical sanctuary can be defiled by bringing impure elements into it, the human body can be spiritually and physically degraded by the foods we consume. Today I am issuing a warning. There are 3 categories of food that are common in modern kitchens that are actively destroying your health, not just on a biological level, but on a spiritual level. These foods create blockages that prevent the flow of divine energy, leading to fatigue, disease, and a clouded mind. This is an information-driven analysis of the Jewish dietary laws, known as kashrut, and the profound science behind what you must remove from your kitchen immediately. To understand this, we must first understand the fundamental premise of kashrut. The Torah does not provide medical reasons for the dietary laws. It does not say, do not eat pork because it carries trichinosis. The Torah presents these laws as shukim, decrees that transcend human logic, designed specifically for spiritual purity. However, the great Jewish philosopher Maimonides, who was also the preeminent physician of his time, taught that while the primary purpose of kashrut is spiritual elevation, the secondary effect is absolute physical health. The Creator designed the human body, and the Creator provided the operating manual. When you consume foods that the manual explicitly forbids or warns against, you are introducing foreign, incompatible code into your biological system. The result is systemic malfunction. And for those who are truly serious about accelerating their journey, for a limited time, I am opening the doors to the Torah Millionaire Business School for just $299. This is where I unveil the complete Torah wealth system. It is the full architecture of ancient wisdom applied to modern financial transformation. The doors are closing soon, so check the link in the comments. The first category of food you must remove from your kitchen is food that contains the energy of cruelty. In the Jewish tradition, the method by which an animal is slaughtered is of paramount importance. The process of shahita, kosher slaughter, is designed to be instantaneous and painless, severing the trachea, esophagus, carotid arteries, and jugular veins in a single, swift motion. This ensures that the animal does not suffer and that the blood, which the Torah identifies as the life force or the nefesh, is rapidly drained. Why is this critical? Because when an animal is slaughtered in a state of terror or pain, its body is flooded with stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. If you consume the meat of an animal that died in terror, you are literally ingesting the biochemical signature of fear and cruelty. Modern factory farming is an engine of cruelty. Animals are raised in horrific conditions, pumped full of antibiotics, and slaughtered in ways that induce massive trauma. When you eat this meat, you are not just consuming protein, you are consuming the trauma. The Kabbalists teach that you absorb the spiritual characteristics of the food you eat. If you consume cruelty, you breed cruelty and anxiety within yourself. This is not just a spiritual metaphor, it is a biological reality. The consumption of stress-laden meat contributes to systemic inflammation, hormonal imbalances, and a heightened state of neurological anxiety in the human body. If you want to protect your health and your spiritual clarity, you must remove factory-farmed, unethically sourced meat from your kitchen. You must demand that the food you consume was treated with dignity in life and in death. The second category of food you must remove is food that mixes life and death. One of the most famous laws of kashrut is the absolute prohibition against mixing meat and dairy. The Torah states 3 times, "You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk." The sages explained the profound symbolism behind this prohibition. Milk is the ultimate symbol of life, nurturing, and maternal sustenance. It is the fluid designed to grow a new life. Meat, by definition, requires the cessation of life. It is the product of death. When you mix meat and dairy, you are creating a violent collision of opposing spiritual forces. You are mixing the energy of life with the energy of death. This spiritual collision has a direct parallel in human digestion. Modern nutritional science has discovered that the digestion of meat and the digestion of dairy require entirely different enzymatic environments in the stomach. Meat requires a highly acidic environment to break down the dense proteins, while dairy requires a more alkaline environment. When you consume them together, the stomach struggles to maintain the correct pH balance. The digestive process is severely compromised, leading to fermentation, putrefaction, and the release of toxins into the bloodstream. This causes bloating, fatigue, and long-term damage to the gut microbiome. The ancient Jewish prohibition against mixing meat and dairy is not an arbitrary rule. It is a profound biohack designed to optimize digestion and prevent the internal toxicity that leads to chronic disease. Remove the cheeseburgers, the meat pizzas, and the creamy sauces on poultry from your diet. Separate the life from the death and watch your digestive health transform. The third category of food you must remove is food that lacks a divine spark, specifically highly processed, synthetic foods. As we discussed in previous teachings, the Kabbalists explain that all natural food contains a nitzotz, a divine spark that provides spiritual nourishment. This spark is present in the apple grown from the earth, the grain harvested from the field, and the water drawn from the spring. But what happens when food is manufactured in a laboratory? What happens when a product is composed entirely of artificial colors, synthetic preservatives, high fructose corn syrup, and chemically altered fats? These products are so far removed from their natural source that the divine spark is almost entirely obscured, if it is present at all. When you consume highly processed foods, you are consuming dead matter. You are filling your stomach with substances that the human body was never designed to recognize or process. The liver, the body's primary detoxification organ, must work overtime to filter out these synthetic chemicals. The immune system identifies these foreign substances as invaders, triggering a constant state of low-grade inflammation. This inflammation is the root cause of almost every modern chronic disease, from heart disease to autoimmune disorders to cognitive decline. Furthermore, because these foods lack the divine spark, they provide no spiritual nourishment. You can eat thousands of calories of processed food and still feel spiritually and physically starved. Your body is crying out for the nitzotz, and you are feeding it plastic. You must ruthlessly purge your kitchen of these synthetic products. If it was made in a plant, do not eat it. If it comes from a plant, eat it. Return to the foods that carry the divine signature of the Creator. The removal of these three categories of food, cruelty-laden meat, the mixture of life and death, and synthetic sparkless products, is not a diet. It is a spiritual and biological purification protocol. When you clear these blockages from your system, the results are profound. Your energy levels will stabilize because your body is no longer expending massive amounts of energy trying to digest incompatible or toxic substances. Your mind will clear because the systemic inflammation that causes brain fog will subside. And most importantly, your spiritual receptors will open. When your physical vessel is clean, it becomes a highly conductive channel for divine energy. You will find that your prayers are more focused, your intuition is sharper, and your connection to the Creator is deeper. This purification requires discipline. It requires you to read labels, to ask questions about where your food comes from, and to be willing to pay a premium for quality and ethical sourcing. But consider the alternative: the cost of chronic disease, the cost of fatigue, the cost of a clouded mind. These are far higher than the cost of clean food. The Jewish tradition teaches that you are a steward of your body. You do not own it. It is on loan to you from the Creator, and you are obligated to return it in the best possible condition. You cannot fulfill your mission in this world if your physical vessel is broken and polluted. The Talmud in Tractate Shabbat 140b states that a person should sell the beams of their house to buy shoes for their feet. The sages use this metaphor to emphasize the absolute priority of physical health and protection. Your health is your foundation. Without it, you cannot build wealth, you cannot support your family, and you cannot serve the Creator effectively. The food you bring into your kitchen is the building material for that foundation. If you build with cheap, toxic, incompatible materials, the house will eventually collapse. Do not wait for a medical diagnosis to change your relationship with food. Do not wait for the pain to become unbearable. Take proactive control of your sanctuary today. Go into your kitchen and ruthlessly evaluate every item. Does this food carry the energy of cruelty? Does it mix the forces of life and death? Is it a synthetic product devoid of a divine spark? If the answer is yes, throw it away. It is not food, it is poison. Replace it with foods that are ethically sourced, properly combined, and close to their natural state. This is the ancient Jewish secret to vitality. It is not about restriction, it is about elevation. It is about choosing foods that align with your divine purpose. When you eat with this level of consciousness, every meal becomes a healing modality. Every bite becomes a mechanism for drawing down divine light. Protect your sanctuary, purify your vessel, and watch as your health, your energy, and your spiritual clarity reach levels you never thought possible. To fully grasp the depth of this purification, we must also examine the concept of Timtum Halev, which translates to the dulling or sealing of the heart. The Talmud in Tractate Yoma 39a teaches that consuming forbidden or spiritually impure foods causes Timtum Halev. This is not a physical clogging of the arteries, although that often happens as well. Timtum Halev is a spiritual condition. It is a state where the heart becomes insensitive to spiritual realities, where empathy diminishes, and where the connection to the Creator feels distant and muted. When the heart is sealed, a person becomes trapped in a purely materialistic worldview. They cannot perceive the divine providence operating in their life, and they become highly susceptible to anxiety, depression, and despair. The foods you consume are the primary drivers of this condition. When you eat foods that are incompatible with your divine soul, you are literally building a wall around your heart. This concept explains why so many people today feel a profound sense of emptiness, despite having access to more calories and culinary variety than any generation in history. They are feeding the body, but they are starving the soul and sealing the heart. The removal of these three categories of food is the process of unsealing the heart. As you purge the cruelty, the chaotic mixtures, and the synthetic chemicals from your diet, the wall begins to crumble. You will notice a heightened sensitivity, not just to spiritual concepts, but to the people around you. Your capacity for empathy will increase. Your ability to experience genuine joy, independent of external circumstances, will return. This is the reversal of Timtum Halev. It is the awakening of the spiritual heart, and it is entirely dependent on the purity of the fuel you provide to your physical vessel. Furthermore, the Jewish tradition places a massive emphasis on the concept of Shmirat Haguf, the guarding of the body. Maimonides, in his Mishneh Torah, devotes an entire section to the laws of human temperament and physical health. He states unequivocally that maintaining a healthy and whole body is a fundamental part of serving the Creator, because it is impossible to understand or know anything of the Creator when one is sick. He specifically warns against overeating and consuming foods that are difficult to digest, noting that most illnesses are caused either by eating bad food or by eating too much of even good food. This is a profound paradigm shift. Health is not a secular pursuit, it is a religious obligation. When you knowingly consume foods that damage your body, you are not just making a poor dietary choice, you are committing a spiritual offense. You are vandalizing the sanctuary. This obligation to guard the body extends to the environment in which you eat. The Talmud teaches that one should not eat while standing or while walking in the street, as this degrades the dignity of the human being and impairs digestion. Eating must be a deliberate, focused act. When you eat in a state of chaos, rushing from one task to the next, your body remains in a sympathetic nervous system state, the fight or flight response. In this state, digestion is halted, and the food you consume, even if it is pure, cannot be properly assimilated. The Jewish method requires you to sit down, to create a space of calm, and to focus entirely on the act of nourishment. This mindful approach ensures that the pure foods you have selected are actually absorbed and utilized by the body rather than passing through as waste or being stored as toxins. The ultimate goal of this dietary discipline is to achieve a state of kedusha, or holiness. In the Jewish framework, holiness is not achieved by retreating to a mountaintop and fasting. Holiness is achieved by engaging with the physical world and elevating it. The Torah commands, "You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." This command is immediately followed by laws regarding ethical business practices, interpersonal relationships, and dietary restrictions. Holiness is the result of applying divine boundaries to physical desires. When you stand in your kitchen and choose to reject the synthetic, the cruel, and the chaotic, you are performing an act of kedusha. You are declaring that your appetite does not rule you, your divine soul rules you. This mastery over the physical self is the source of immense personal power. It is the power that allows you to conquer your financial goals, to build strong relationships, and to navigate the challenges of life with unshakable resilience. Do not underestimate the power of the food in your kitchen. It is either building your sanctuary or destroying it. It is either opening your heart or sealing it. It is either fueling your divine mission or anchoring you to the animalistic realm. The choice is entirely yours. Remove the blockages. Purify the vessel. Reclaim your health and your spiritual clarity. The Creator has provided the manual. It is time to start following the instructions. To fully integrate this paradigm, we must also address the concept of birur, the process of spiritual extraction. The Kabbalists teach that the entire purpose of human existence is to perform birur, to extract the holy sparks from the mundane world and elevate them back to their source. This process is most intensely concentrated in the act of eating. When you consume food that is permitted, ethically sourced, and properly prepared, and you do so with the intention of gaining strength to serve the Creator, you successfully perform birur. You extract the spark and elevate it. But when you consume forbidden foods, or foods that are fundamentally incompatible with the divine design, the process of birur is blocked, the spark remains trapped, and your own spiritual energy is dragged down into the density of the unrefined matter. You become heavy, both physically and spiritually. The removal of these three categories of food is not just about avoiding toxins, it is about ensuring that your daily act of eating remains a successful act of spiritual extraction. This understanding completely reframes the modern concept of a diet. A diet is typically a temporary restriction imposed for the sake of physical appearance or weight loss. It is driven by vanity or fear, and it is almost always unsustainable. The Jewish approach to food is not a diet. It is a permanent state of consciousness. It is driven by reverence and purpose. When you understand that your food choices determine your ability to perform birur, to unseal your heart, and to guard your sanctuary, the desire for toxic, synthetic, or cruel foods naturally falls away. You do not have to rely on willpower to avoid them, because your fundamental perception of them has changed. You no longer see them as food, you see them as spiritual blockages. This shift in perception is the key to permanent, effortless health. Furthermore, this level of dietary consciousness has a profound impact on your financial reality. As we have discussed in previous teachings, wealth in the Jewish tradition requires a robust, pure vessel to hold the blessing. If your physical body, the primary vessel, is compromised by toxic food, systemic inflammation, and spiritual dullness, your capacity to receive and manage wealth is severely limited. You will lack the energy to execute your hishtadlut, the clarity to make sound investments, and the emotional stability to navigate the inevitable challenges of business. Conversely, when you purify your diet, you optimize your physical vessel. You generate the clean, sustained energy required for high-level performance. You cultivate the sharp, unclouded mind necessary for strategic decision-making. The purification of your kitchen is, therefore, a direct investment in your financial future. It is the foundational step in building a vessel capable of holding generational wealth. The sages of the Talmud understood this connection intimately. They taught that a person's character, their spiritual sensitivity, and their ultimate success are all deeply influenced by what they consume. They established a rigorous framework of dietary laws, not to restrict human enjoyment, but to maximize human potential. They understood that true freedom is not the ability to eat whatever you want whenever you want. True freedom is the ability to master your physical desires and align them with your divine purpose. When you achieve this mastery, you unlock a level of vitality and power that the modern medical establishment cannot replicate. You become a fully integrated human being, operating at the peak of your physical and spiritual capacity. Therefore, the warning stands. The foods in your kitchen are not neutral. They are active agents in your biological and spiritual reality. If you continue to consume the energy of cruelty, the chaotic mixture of life and death, and the dead matter of synthetic processing, you will pay the price. You will pay it in fatigue, in chronic illness, in a sealed heart, and in a diminished capacity for wealth and joy. But if you heed the ancient wisdom, if you ruthlessly purge the blockages and commit to a diet of purity and reverence, the rewards are limitless. You will build a sanctuary worthy of the divine presence. You will unseal your heart. You will optimize your vessel, and you will step into the fullness of the life you were created to live. And if you are truly serious about accelerating your journey and applying these principles at the highest level for a limited time, I am opening the doors to the Torah Millionaire Business School for just $299. This is where I unveil the complete Torah wealth system, the full architecture of ancient wisdom applied to modern financial transformation. The doors are closing soon. The link is in the comments. I look forward to seeing you inside and helping you build the wealth you were destined to create.